Have you ever wondered what it really costs to stand for the truth? What would you do if you uncovered a secret so dangerous, so dark, that exposing could destroy everything you love? Would you walk away, or would you fight, knowing the battle might cost you your life? There are moments when doing the right thing isn't just hard, it's deadly. And this is one of those moments. This is a story of a young man who chose to fight, even when the odds were stacked against him. A story of betrayal, power, and a truth too heavy to bury. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe if you believe stories like this need to be told. And let me know in the comments, would you risk everything for the truth or stay silent to survive? Now let's get into it. A.O. Adekunle had always believed that hard work and honesty would pave the way for a better life. A brilliant young engineer, just 28, he had finally secured his dream job at Zenith Core Energy, one of the most powerful companies in the country. But dreams are fragile things, and as would shatter the moment, he stumbled upon a dark secret, a secret that would change everything. It started innocently enough. He was reviewing water discharge reports late one evening, sipping cold Gary, because salary was still days away. The numbers didn't add up. Curious, A.O. decided to visit the site near the Ogun River the next morning. What he saw made his stomach churn. Thick, black sludge poured silently from hidden pipes, seeping into the river that thousands depended on for life. Children played nearby, unaware they were being poisoned slowly. A.O. rushed back to the office, files in hand, heart pounding. He burst into his boss's office, hoping, praying it was a mistake. "Sir, we need to talk." A.O.'s voice shook. "There's something terribly wrong with the river discharge. We're contaminating." Mr. Okafor didn't let him finish. His eyes were sharp, cold. "You're smart, A.O. Too smart to ask the wrong questions. Leave those files. Walk away." But he couldn't. That night, he couldn't sleep. Images of the children, of the old woman washing her cassava in poisoned water, haunted him. The next day, he confided in Tola, his childhood friend and now a fearless investigative journalist. She listened, her face growing pale as he spoke. "If you go through with this," she warned, "they will come for you." "I'm not afraid for myself," A.O. whispered. "But what if it was Temi? What if my sister was one of them?" Together, they began gathering evidence. Tola interviewed families by the river, photographed graves too small for the bodies in them. A.O. leaked internal documents signed by top executives. They planned to go public on Monday. But Zenith Core moved faster. On Friday, A.O. received a termination letter. Security escorted him out like a criminal. That night, an unknown number called. The voice on the other end was calm, almost friendly. "You've made noise, A.O. Now keep quiet or your family suffers." His blood ran cold. He called Temi, told her to stay with friends, not come home. He sat in the dark, hands shaking, wondering if doing the right thing was worth it. On Monday, Tola's expose aired. Social media exploded. Protesters gathered outside Zenith Core's gates, demanding justice. A.O., however, didn't show up for the live interview. No one could find him. By Tuesday, news broke that A.O. Adekunle was missing. Behind the closed doors of an abandoned warehouse, A.O. sat, bloodied, tied to a chair. Mr. Okafor paced slowly, his shoes echoing. "You could have been one of us," he murmured. "But now you'll be nothing." A.O.'s lip bled as he smiled weakly. "The truth, it's already out. You've lost." Okafor raised his hand, a gun gleaming. "We'll see." But before he could pull the trigger, a gunshot rang out. Okafor staggered, fell. Tola stood at the doorway, a camera crew behind her, recording everything. "A.O.!" she cried, running to him. "We're alive. The world is watching." Police sirens wailed in the distance. A.O., barely able to stand, stumbled into the open night, the flashing lights blinding him. As the paramedics reached for him, a black SUV pulled up. The window rolled down. "A.O. Adekunle?" the voice asked. He nodded weakly. "Get in. We don't have much time." Inside the SUV sat Chief Ajayi, a powerful government official known for his influence and his secrets. "You've made powerful enemies," the chief said, "but you've also made powerful allies. The fight is far from over." Ao looked back at the flashing lights, at the chaos behind him. He didn't know where this road led, but he knew one thing. Silence was no longer an option. When the door burst open, Lami's heart nearly jumped out of her chest. Her mother, bruised and breathless, stumbled inside. Behind her, Officer Tamawa stood, gun in hand, eyes blazing with rage. "I told you, your silence would be your death," he growled, slamming the door shut behind him. Lami froze, the weight of her father's words still fresh in her mind. "Protect your mother, no matter what." Officer Tamawa marched toward them, the gun pointed steadily. "You think you can expose me? You think your pathetic little voice matters." He grabbed Lami's mother by the hair, forcing her to her knees. "You're going to learn today that some people are untouchable." Lami's eyes darted to the drawer, the same drawer where her father kept an old kitchen knife. Her mind raced. Fear, anger, and desperation twisted inside her. She had seconds to act. "You don't have to do this," Lami pleaded, stepping forward, her voice trembling but loud. "Please let her go. We won't say anything." Tamawa laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "You're already dead, both of you, just like your father." That name, her father, it ignited something inside Lami. She lunged, not for him, but for the drawer, her fingers wrapped around the knife just as Tamawa fired. The bullet grazed her arm, searing pain shooting through her. But she didn't stop. She turned, knife raised, and drove it into his side. Tamawa howled in pain, stumbling backward, dropping the gun. Lami's mother scrambled to her feet, kicking the weapon away. For a moment, the room was filled with chaos, blood, screams, and breathless terror. But it wasn't over. Tamawa, bleeding but not defeated, lunged for Lami, his hands like iron around her throat. She gasped, struggling, her vision blurring. Suddenly, the door flew open again. Two men burst in, one of them, the young journalist Jide, the other, a neighbor who had heard the commotion. "Let her go," Jide shouted, grabbing Tamawa and pulling him off Lami. Her mother collapsed beside her, holding her tight as Lami coughed and gasped for air. Jide and the neighbor pinned Tamawa to the ground, calling the police. But Tamawa laughed through the blood. "You think this end with me? You don't know what you've started. There are more like me, bigger than me." As the police arrived and dragged Tamawa away, Lami sat in her mother's arms, the weight of his words pressing on her chest. She had stopped him, but at what cost? Later that night, in the dim light of the now silent home, Lami stared at the torn photograph of her father, her mother resting beside her, exhausted. Jide sat across from them, notebook in hand. "There's something you need to see," he said quietly. He opened his bag and pulled out a file. "What's that?" Lami asked, her voice hoarse. "Evidence," Jide replied. "Your father wasn't just killed for nothing. He had been gathering this for months. Names, places, transactions. Tamawa was just one piece of a bigger puzzle." Lami's hands trembled as she took the file, flipping through pages of documents, photographs, bank statements. Proof of a network of corruption that went higher than she could imagine. "My father knew," she whispered. "He knew they would come for him." Jide nodded. "He left all this with me, told me to keep it safe. Said one day, someone would be brave enough to finish what he started." A heavy silence fell. Her mother stirred, looking at Lami with tired but proud eyes. "What are we supposed to do now?" Lami asked, tears forming again. "You decide," Jide said. "We can release this, expose them all, but it won't be easy. They'll come after us. After you." Lami looked down at the papers, then at her mother, and back at the photo of her father. His eyes, even in black and white, seemed to plead with her. "We have to finish it," she said, voice firm. "For him, for everyone they've hurt." But just as hope flickered in their hearts, the sound of glass shattering in the next room froze them. A shadow moved outside the window. "They know," her mother whispered. Jide stood, moving quickly to the window. "We have to leave. Now!" Before they could gather anything, a Molotov cocktail smashed through the front window, flames licking at the curtains. "Go! Go!" Jide shouted, grabbing Lami and pulling her toward the back door. as they ran into the night. Fire consuming the home they once knew. Lami clutched the file tight against her chest. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. The flames roared behind them, lighting up the night like a twisted beacon. Lami didn't dare look back. Every step she took felt like fire itself was chasing them. Not just a burning house, but the truth, the danger, the fear. Her lungs burned as much as her heart did. The file, still clutched tightly in her arms, was now more than just paper. It was a death sentence. They reached the alley behind the house, gasping for breath. Her mother stumbled, falling to her knees, coughing from the smoke. Jide pulled out his phone, dialing frantically. "They're not stopping, Jide," Lami said, panic rising again. "They want us dead." "I know," he replied, his voice low but urgent. "We need to disappear. Just for now, I have a place." Sirens wailed in the distance, but none of them felt safe. The police? Who could they trust? Tamawa's words echoed in Lami's head. "There are more like me, bigger than me." They couldn't wait for the system to protect them. They had to move. The safe house Jide led them to was hidden, small, almost forgotten. A friend's place, he said. Someone who owed him. Inside, the lights were dim, the air heavy with silence. Lami paced the room while her mother rested, her hands never leaving the file. Each page was heavier than the last. Names, dates, photos, politicians, officers, businessmen. Her father had uncovered a network of power that fed on fear, silence, and death. And now, they knew she had it. "We have to release this," she whispered, more to herself than to Jide. "We have to let the world see." "Not yet," Jide replied, leaning against the wall, watching her. "If we release this now, they'll kill us before it reaches anyone that matters." "So, what do we do?" she snapped, turning to him, eyes wide. "Wait? Hide? My father died for this." "I know," Jide said, stepping closer. "But if we die too, this dies with us." Lami sat, the weight too much, her hands shaking. "Tomorrow," Jide said, "we go to someone I trust. A judge. He's clean. He can help." But trust was a dangerous word. Morning came too soon. Lami hadn't slept. Her mother barely spoke. The fear was sinking in deep like a poison. But Lami had no choice. She had come too far. They left the safe house just after dawn. The streets were still, too still. As they approached the meeting point, Jide scanned the surroundings carefully. The courthouse loomed ahead, but something felt off. Too quiet. "Stay here," Jide told Lami and her mother. "I'll get him." Wait. Minutes passed like hours. Suddenly, a car screeched around the corner. "Run!" Lami shouted, grabbing her mother. But it was too late. The car door flew open, and men in black suits stepped out, guns raised. "Hand over!" one of them barked. "Now!" Lami stood her ground, heart pounding. "You'll have to kill me." "I'd rather not," the man said, stepping forward. "But I will." Then a gunshot, but not from them, from behind. One of the men fell, clutching his chest. Chaos erupted. Jide ran out from the side of the building, holding a small pistol, firing again. "Go. Now!" Lami pulled her mother, running. Jide followed, covering them as best as he could. They ducked into another alley, panting. "You set us up." Lami screamed at him. "No, I swear I didn't." Jide yelled back. "They must have followed us." "Then what now?" she cried. "They won't stop, Jide. We're running in circles." But then her mother spoke, her voice soft but firm. "There's one person. Someone your father trusted." Lami turned confused. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to drag him into this," her mother replied. "But now there's no choice." Hours later, they arrived at a small village outside the city. Hidden, quiet, the kind of place that didn't ask questions. They met him in a small house, old but strong. An elder man with eyes that had seen too much. "Lami," he said, looking at her as if he already knew. "You're your father's daughter." Her hands tightened around the file. "I need your help," she said, voice cracking. He nodded, slowly. Your father, he left something else. Something for this moment. From a hidden drawer, he pulled out a small flash drive. This, he said, is the key. The file you have is enough to get you killed. But this will make sure the truth spreads. Lami took it, confused. What's on it? A direct line to the media. Journalists, foreign and local. People who will not be bought. Your father planned everything. Tears welled up in her eyes. He had always been thinking ahead. But just as hope flickered again, a knock came at the door. Not gentle, not friendly. The elder man's face turned pale. They found us. Lami looked at Jide, at her mother, at the flash drive in her hand. There was no more running. The door burst open. Men in black, guns raised. Lami held the drive tight. This was it. A shot rang out, and everything went black. Silence. Lami's ears rang as she struggled to open her eyes. The air was thick with dust and fear. She felt the cold floor beneath her, and her hand, empty. The flash drive was gone. Her heart pounded, and panic surged through her veins. She turned her head slowly, pain shooting through her neck. Her mother lay a few feet away, groaning, blood trickling from her forehead. Jide was nowhere in sight. Lami, her mother whispered, trying to sit up. No, don't move. Lami crawled to her, clutching her, trembling. They took the drive. The elder man was gone. So were the men in black. The house was wrecked, broken furniture and shattered glass littered the ground. But no bodies, no blood trails, just destruction and silence. Why didn't they kill us? Why leave them alive? Then it hit her. They didn't need to kill them anymore. They had what they came for. Lami stood, her legs weak, her mind racing. She had come so far, fought too hard, and now it was slipping away. But giving up wasn't an option. We have to find Jide, she said, helping her mother up. He knows what to do. Her mother hesitated. What if he's the reason they found us? Lami stopped. The thought cut deep. Jide had saved them more than once. But trust was thin. No! She shook her head, more to herself and her mother. Not now. We can't doubt. The journey back to the city was long and tense. Every car that passed, every stranger's glance felt like a threat. Lami's hands clenched the steering wheel, her knuckles white. Her mind was a storm of questions. Where was Jide? Who really had the drive now? And how much time did they have before everything spiraled out of control? They reached the city by nightfall. Lami didn't go home. Home was no longer safe. She remembered an old friend of her father's, Amaka, a journalist, fierce, unbending. If there was one person left who could help, it was her. Amaka's apartment was small, but filled with energy. Papers, files, photographs everywhere. The scent of ink and coffee filled the room. When Lami explained everything, Amaka didn't flinch. They're moving fast, Amaka said, her eyes sharp. I've heard whispers. Something big is happening tomorrow. They're trying to wipe it all clean. What do you mean? There's a meeting, a gathering of the top names. The ones in your father's file. They want to finish this before you can stop them. Lami's chest tightened. Where? City Hall. Noon. Lami stood, determined. Then that's where I'll be. The next morning came with a stormy sky, as if the heavens themselves sensed what was coming. Lami dressed in black, her father's pendant around her neck. She had no plan, just a mission. As they approached City Hall, the streets were crowded. Protesters, police, reporters. The air buzzed with tension. Lami and Amaka blended into the chaos, weaving through the crowd. Look, Amaka pointed. There he was, Jide, standing near the entrance, talking to a man in a dark suit. Lami's heart stopped. She moved closer, careful, watching. The man handed Jide something. A flash drive. Her blood ran cold. She stepped out from the crowd, her eyes locked on Jide. Lami, he said, surprised. You're here. You had it? She asked, voice low, controlled. I had to. You lied. No, listen. Jide stepped forward. I didn't betray you. I was trying to buy us time. I had to know who was really behind this. That man, he's part of them, but he wants out. He gave me something. Lami's mind spun. You expect me to believe that? I can prove it, Jide said, handing her the drive. Your father had more than one key. This is the real one. Before she could respond, a gunshot rang out. Jide stumbled, blood blooming on his shirt. Screams erupted. Lami dropped to her knees, holding him. No, stay with me. Jide gasped, his hand gripping hers. Get it? To Amaka expose them. His eyes closed, and the world seemed to stop. Lami stood, the drive in her hand, her face a storm of rage and grief. Amaka, she turned, her voice steady. We end this. Now. They rushed to Amaka's car, weaving through the chaos. Sirens wailed in the distance. As Amaka plugged the drive into her laptop, files opened. Videos, documents, names. One video stood out. Lami clicked it. Her father, sitting at his desk, speaking directly into the camera. If you're seeing this, I'm gone. But the fight isn't over. Those who silence the truth fear it most. Expose them and you'll set the people free. Tears streamed down Lami's face. But there was no time to mourn. Upload it, she said. Amaka nodded. Just as she hit send, a black SUV slammed into the side of the building. Men poured out, guns drawn. Lami grabbed a laptop, running. Amaka followed. Bullets shattered windows. People screamed. They burst into the street, running for their lives. Then a hand grabbed Lami. A hood was thrown over her head. Darkness. That was all Lami knew. The hood over her head, the tight grip on her arms, the cold floor beneath her knees, all blurred into a haze of fear and fury. Her mind raced. Had Amaka escaped? Had the files been uploaded? She didn't know. All she knew was that she wasn't done. Not yet. Rough hands yanked the hood off. Light stabbed her eyes. She squinted, blinking fast. She was in a basement, damp and cold. A single bulb swung above, casting long, eerie shadows. And there, standing in front of her, was him, Senator Adebayo, the man whose name was etched into every dark corner of her father's files. The man who had smiled on TV, talking about integrity and service, while bleeding the country dry. You've caused quite a stir, Lami, he said, his voice smooth, like poison wrapped in silk. But it's over. You've lost. Lami's eyes burned with rage. You think this ends with me? No, he smirked. It ends with the truth buried, just like your father. Those words hit her like a slap. You killed him, she whispered. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Instead, he stepped closer. I could make this easy for you. Walk away. Leave the country. Start over. Lami laughed, bitter and cold. You think I care about my life? I care about his truth, and yours. You're brave, Adebayo sighed. But bravery doesn't stop bullets. He turned, signaling to the men behind her. She felt the cold steel of the gun press against her head. Her heartbeat slowed. This was it. Then bang, but not at her. One of the guards dropped, blood pouring from his chest. Shouts, gunfire, chaos. The door burst open. Amaka, with a small group of armed officers. Special task force. Faces Lami had never seen, but would never forget. Get down, someone yelled. Lami rolled. The chair she was tied to splintering beneath her. Adebayo tried to run, but it was too late. They caught him. Face down. Hands cuffed. The mask finally ripped away. Hours later, Lami sat in the back of an ambulance, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Amaka stood beside her, bruised but alive. We did it. Amaka said softly. Did we? Lami asked, her voice hollow. Amaka handed her a phone. The screen lit up. News channels flooded with footage from the files. The video of her father. The names. The evidence. All of it. People are in the streets. Amaka smiled. They know. Lami stared at the screen, tears in her eyes. The city was rising. Voices once silenced now roared. For justice. For truth. Weeks passed. Senator Adebayo and several top officials were arrested, their crimes laid bare. Trials began, and for the first time in years, people believed that justice wasn't just a word. Lami stood at her father's grave, the wind gentle, the sky clear. "I did it, Dad," she whispered. "You can rest now." She placed a single white rose on the headstone. As she turned to leave, Amaka waited by the gate. "What now?" Amaka asked. Lami looked back at the grave, then at the world beyond. "Now we keep fighting." Sometimes, all it takes is one voice to spark a revolution, one truth to bring down giants. Lami's story shows us that silence protects the powerful, but courage exposes them. What would you do if faced with this kind of evil? Let's talk in the comments. And if this story moved you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Let's keep the fire of justice alive.